Hello, everybody. My name is Marcus Dawson, and you may know me online as at Marcus D Speaks or from my videos. You've got work to do. But I'm here today having a conversation with an MC that is honestly on my Mount Rushmore of MCs. No pressure. But he is an award winning hip hop artist. He is a husband. He is a father. He's a mentor. He also is a visionary. This brother does amazing things, and it's none other than P. Grant.
Oh my man, what's going on,
Let's
bro?
go on. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Look, you're not gonna big me up like that.
No, it's for real. It's heartfelt because you are definitely one of those that I definitely look up to, and that's what we're going to get into today with your project Grace Wins,
Yeah.
the EP. And I have to give you your flowers like before we like dive into the actual EP, man. Like this EP really blessed me. It really touched my heart because I was like, when I first listened to it, and you released it December 2020.
Mhm.
And so as we know, 2020 was a crazy year. I mean,
Man.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
But the EP dropped at the end of that year, and I had a lot of time to reflect. I had a lot of time to be alone and isolated and really reflect on my life. And the EP came right on time, and I mean it was transparent. It was honest, it was real, and I appreciate that because it gave me the courage to face everything that I've gone through and see where God has brought me from. So thank you. Thank you for releasing the EP Grace Wins.
Oh man, brother, I appreciate you so much, man. All glory goes to him, man. I appreciate that for real. Thank you. Thank
Yes, sir. So let's dive into the EP. We'll talk about a couple of songs and
Okay.
just your process on making the EP. But let's start off with the title, Grace Wins. Now, I've heard a lot of songs. We got Amazing Grace. We got, albums titled Grace. But this is the first time I've heard a title say Grace Wins. And I mean, that is a powerful title. Like when you're talking about grace and saying that grace wins, like what was your process behind naming the album, and what is your personal definition of grace?
Um, with coming up with the EP and whatnot, and so a lot of times, whenever I create certain stuff, I like to use hashtags whenever I do captions or whatnot, and you know what I mean. And so I like to incorporate that in a lot of different posts. And so I just started kind of using Grace Wins as, a hashtag or whatnot. And so it just kind of turned into this project. And so what grace means to me is that for one, it's not, we don't deserve it at all. And so, but it is a constant reminder of God's grace and just how good he is, and how despite of what we do and despite what we go through, he always shows us that.
Mhm.
And so, that touched me. And so it just turned into a proclamation, a declaration of saying, you know what, grace does win.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to exemplify that creatively, just to let people know that, you know what I'm saying, that grace does win. And so a lot of things in my life has transpired. And so if it wasn't for his grace, I know I wouldn't be here. That's,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? And so that's what I know. So that's what grace means to me.
Exactly. That's the truth. Without grace, wouldn't be here.
Facts.
Would have been gone on the the first day I was born.
Come on, somebody. That's what's up.
Yeah, but I like to say when it comes to like artists, like like to say easy listening is hard writing.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is like when someone hears a song, when someone listens to a project, like, they may bob their head and they may, do all these things, say, man, this song is fire. But there's, when you are writing personal lyrics, like there's a whole life that has been lived within it. And that brings me to the first song, Grace. It's 4 minutes long and 13 seconds. Don't tell me how, how I know, but I've
That's what's
listened to
up.
I've listened to the song several times, and it's like even in that 4 minutes, like when you listen to Grace, like it is the melody and the way you're flowing and just the beat, it makes you bob your head. Like you have the top down and you're riding down the street. But when you peel back the music and the flow, you get those raw lyrics, and you're talking about some real stuff. You're talking about, dealing with lust and, pornography and
Mhm.
different things like that. We, especially as men, we
Mhm.
don't often talk about, and especially in the church,
Facts.
definitely not talking about.
Facts.
But the fact that you were transparent and just saying, hey, this is my truth and this is what God has done to get me through is commendable, because people don't realize how much courage it takes to be transparent. So let's just dive into Grace and just your process behind creating the song and what got you to that place of transparency.
Um, well, for one, it was I never knew how hard it was to face myself. I never knew how hard and difficult it was to be transparent, to be real. That's something that um I dealt with and struggled with for a long time. And because of that, I've always put on the facade of, smiling and, he's the Christian rapper. Oh, he got bars. Oh, Pete Nice, he's this, he's that. But there was never a time where I gave people Jamel.
Mm,
And around this time when I was writing, I had to deal with Jamel because the Jamel aspect was going through some stuff. And so what got me to that place of grace was just like the hook says, man, I just felt like, okay, God, I'm calling on you, but we get in these moments or these pockets where we feel like he's not there.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And so it was a personal thing between me and him. And I was just like, listen, like lately it's been hard to seek your face, Lord. I'm just asking for grace. And so that's how I genuinely felt at that time. And so I just wanted to write it. That's honestly how it came out. Just almost like a call for help, a call out in prayer.
yeah.
And just wanted to be real and just be transparent.
Yeah, that's definitely important, because a lot of times, as believers and even non-believers, like everybody's going through something.
Right.
Everybody's dealing with something that people may not know. Because like on social media, we posting the highlight reels, we posting
Facts.
filtered photos, making sure that the lighting's just right.
Right,
We
right,
That's
right.
what we're doing. We're not gonna post our bad days. So for you to be honest and transparent, it lets people know like, hey, you're not alone. Because a lot of times, I know personally in my life, a lot of times I dealt with a lot of things and
Mhm.
dealing with shame and secret sins and
Yeah.
all of that, because I didn't have anybody that I could say, hey, they went through it and they got through it, and so I can do it too. But it's like you're just trying to deal with it on your own. You're trying to,
Yeah.
but it's great to have examples like yourself that say, hey, I've dealt with this, but I've overcome. And so, how important is it for you to spread that message of overcoming? Like, yes, you can go through all of these things and go through hard trials, but there is another side to it.
I think it's very important. And so I just wanted to just be real and say, hey, now there has to be work. Work has to be done
Mm,
in order to overcome these things. These are things that I still have struggles with at times, little pockets of moments, and and even with shame
yeah,
and dealing with that and past mistakes and different stuff and getting drowned in that. And so, I have to remind myself daily that grace wins. This thing with this walk, man, it's a everyday thing. You
yes,
have to
yeah,
do something every day. You know how the Bible talks about we have to die to our flesh daily. You know
daily,
what I mean?
yeah,
And so I had to learn that the hard way. Like every day I have to make a conscious moment and a declaration to say, you know what? I can't fall for this today.
yeah,
I think about certain things and I say, okay, all right, God, I feel it, I acknowledge it, but I'm not going back there because I
exactly,
know what it was when I went back there and I know the damage that it caused. And so, like I said originally, just the importance of that is to show people, okay, you're right, you're not alone. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times too, we have to be able to acknowledge these things. That's the main thing. We have to acknowledge it.
yeah,
We can't keep it to ourselves. That was my biggest problem. Keeping stuff to myself.
yeah,
And, when you hide those things, there, can't be any revelation. I've heard something recently that said revelation is exposure.
mm,
So when I reveal something, that means it gets exposed. When it's exposed, now things can get dealt with. Now we could deal with the
exactly,
real things, those things that happen behind closed doors and different things. And so just to remind people that, in the process of overcoming it, there's work that has to be done to overcome it. It's not going to happen overnight. You know what I
exactly,
mean? And so it's just, yeah, you got to put the work in. You got to put the feet behind the faith but just trust and know that God's got you the whole time you're going through whatever it is that you're going through.
Man, you preaching. I'm about to send you a cash app
Come on.
offering. Send
Bruh,
you a
stop.
cash app. No, that was powerful. That was powerful, man.
Oh man.
And I want to get to towards the end of the song Grace, there's like this interlude. And man, when I first listened to the song, like I kept listening to it because you it's like this interlude part where you're talking about being writing this song in a flooded apartment. And like my mind, I'm a visual person, so my mind was just running like, what is the story behind you writing this song, this powerful song in a flooded apartment? So if you can just like kind of touch on that, like what was the process of actually making this song?
Okay, so Grace Wins has been in the works for at least 6 to 7 years.
Wow.
I started working on Grace Wins after Signs and Wonders. And so picture this apartment. Picture one day something happens with the pipes and this apartment on the second floor gets flooded.
Oh, wow.
So the maintenance has to come in and they have to pull out the big dryers, blow fans, the whole nine. The carpet, everything is wet. So at one point in time, you got one part of the apartment in the living room and everything pushed to where the balcony is and the blinds and all that door, the back door, the slide door. And so, they have to put the carpet up and all that has to dry. So we try to maneuver around, get into the kitchen and all this and that because it's like we got to deal with a wet floor.
Wow.
All right. And so that part gets dry or whatnot. So, hey, we got to get to the other side. Now all that gets pushed back on this side. And so one night, as a creative, you understand that there are certain moments where when you're tapped in.
Yeah.
When you're tapped in. That's for any creative out there. That moment, whether it's writing, whether it's an idea. And I was going through this season of where it was hard to create. It was hard to write. And it was bothering me. I started to question myself. I started to doubt myself. Wow. I said, okay, God, this is crazy. Like, why is it, and I never wanted to do anything forced. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we ended up going to my mother-in-law's while they got everything situated. But I had to go back to the house because there were some things that we needed to get to go to my mother-in-law's crib. So in the mix of that, I called my wife and I say, hey, I felt it. I knew I felt it. I said, I need to do some writing. I need to write. She said, okay, if you need to write, that's fine. Go ahead. That's cool. Do what you need to do. We're good. So I found a dry space. After climbing over the stuff, I found a dry space in the corner. Now I'm 6'2", 6'3", with sneakers on. Wow. But I'm stretched out in this corner because it's dry enough to where I can sit in. And I have my phone and I have my notebook. I've already started on Grace with at least the hook. So now the first verse is starting to roll around. Now the second verse is starting to roll around. But I sat in the corner in this apartment with the fans blowing in this corner. And I wrote. I just said, God, it's me and you in here, nobody else. And I just let it flow, bro.
Wow.
That's exactly how that went.
Wow.
That's exactly how that went.
That's powerful. That is a powerful story because I knew there was a story behind it. And, and it's also powerful because it reminds me of like how, God works. Like sometimes like we'll be in the most uncomfortable spaces. Like you said, you 6'2", and you tall, and then you're trying to
I'm in
fit
this
into
corner,
a corner.
like like literally a corner. Literally, everything is pushed this way, and so the carpet is up. So you got the floor or whatnot, and so I found a dry spot, and I just kind of stretched. Wow. And so I got all this stuff around me, but I have enough space or room to where I have the notebook, the phone, and my earbuds, and just yeah,
that's crazy because like I said, those are those moments where like it's a God moment. Like even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's not the perfect timing, the perfect space, like He'll just drop something on you, and that's those are sometimes where the most like beautiful things are produced out of those spaces. So yeah, I'm glad you shared that story because it was like when I heard it, I was like, man, I got to ask him about this story.
Man, that's what's up, bro.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so I kind of want to jump towards the end of the EP. Another song that really like impacted me, and that's Broken. When I saw the title, like I was like anticipating on what you were going to talk about because like I've definitely been in a broken space where, I just felt like in the church, nice guy. Everybody thinks, oh, he's so nice, he's so
Yeah.
this, he's so that. But then they don't know, like, behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like, dealing with depression and like just feeling completely broken. So
Yeah.
once I listened to the song and I listened to your heart on the song and listened to some of the stories, like
Mhm.
some of the stories that you go into in the verses are heartbreaking. But there is that hope that there's beauty in the brokenness. So if you can just like just share like your heart behind the song, and also like if there's a time in your life where you felt completely broken but God made something beautiful out of that moment.
So my heart behind the song was just that understanding brokenness. It took a while to get to a place of understanding brokenness, and I just wanted to encourage someone. That was literally the concept. I said I just want to encourage someone, but I had to start with me first.
Mm,
I prayed a prayer a while ago, and I shared this with some people a while ago, and I really believe God heard me. I said, God, if it's not the truth anymore, I don't want to write. I really
mm.
feel like God heard him and was like, bet,
Wow.
say less. Like, you know what I
Wow.
mean? Like, cause for someone who was so used to creating and writing, it for a while, it just seemed so hard
Yeah.
to create, to talk about things. And I feel like that was God saying, you need to deal with you. That's the only way you're going to grow.
Mm,
Like you said, being the nice guy, the church guy, and people don't see behind the scenes and
yeah.
whatnot. And so it started with I wanted to encourage someone, but I had to encourage myself first.
Mm,
That's where that first verse came from. That's why that's what I literally felt in that season. I was frustrated as a husband. I was frustrated as a father. I was frustrated as a man. And so it felt like I couldn't even look in the mirror. I wasn't happy with the reflection.
mm,
I was so caught up in my shame, infidelities in my marriage, different situations and scenarios with people, and letting outside influences come in, being spiritually deprived
mm,
and doubting and not walking by faith. I was getting so caught up on sight, and
mm.
so that's what really birthed that first verse.
Wow.
But I was always taught, and you know this too, of we can talk about these things, we can talk about the bad things, and we acknowledge that, but we always come back full circle to know who God is and know that He's
Yeah.
still in control. And
Exactly.
so, around that time, I just really felt, again, I just felt spiritually deprived. Like I said, I have no shame now, praise God. You know what I mean? Like I said, infidelities that took place in my marriage. My household was chaotic, different things that I was doing, and I just felt broken.
Mm,
And us as men, black men, especially in the church,
yeah.
a lot of times we don't. It's hard for us to be transparent and open up because, especially in the church,
Yeah.
that stuff gets thrown in our face. I tell you the truth, but then in the midst of an argument or whatever, you throw hurt back in my face. You throw
Exactly.
what I told you.
Yeah.
I told you that in confidence,
Yeah.
but you use it back on me.
Exactly.
Now I digress. Now I'm defensive.
Yeah.
Now the wall is up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep to myself.
Mhm.
And so I was experiencing that as well.
Wow.
And so and it was super hard, bro. Like I cried writing that verse
Mm,
because that's how I genuinely felt. Um yeah, and that was the heart, that was the intention behind it. And then everything else began to flow.
wow.
Everything else began to flow. So I was broken when I wrote that first verse. Um and when I got to the second verse, that was a story of someone that I knew was broken,
Wow.
and we were in the same place, the same ministry or whatnot when that happened
Wow.
or whatnot. And also too, if you heard the song, then you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to drag it along or whatnot, but big shout out to her for telling her story. Um, Real quick plug. Anything that has to do with sexual assault or rape,
Yeah.
there's crisis centers,
Yes.
there's national hotlines that you can reach out to. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody make you feel like stuff is your fault. No, it's not. It's not. So be encouraged. There's beauty in the brokenness. Um,
Yeah.
and so I allowed that moment to say, okay, God, even though I'm feeling the way I feel, there's somebody that's feeling worse. So how can I orchestrate this to bring light to this situation and also encourage someone? And so that's what the whole purpose of that second verse was. That is based on a true story of what happened to someone that I know. And so and I actually wrote the hook in 2021.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, not 2021. 2020. I wrote the hook then, But the song was already written around 2016, 2017, 2018. And so it wasn't until I came through what I needed to where I encouraged on the hook.
Gotcha.
Got to be in it for the long haul. Stand tall. Got to be patient.
Yeah.
So the main thing was encouraging myself and then encouraging somebody else, and that was when I was really going through it. But by the grace of God and me having to do work on my end and my part and deal with those things, where I was able to, overcome.
Wow. That's awesome. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that, sir, because there are so many people who go through that. There's
Yeah.
so many people who are dealing with that. And like you said, they may feel shame, and they may feel just so many emotions and feel
Right.
like they can't express themselves, or
Right.
tell somebody or let somebody know. So that's powerful that you brought that to light, so people know, like, yes, when you're broken, you can reach out and you can get the help that you need.
Yeah.
And just one thing on broken, something that like I said, like experiencing brokenness on my end, like something that the Lord just showed me. When I was younger, I used to love stained glass windows. Like, I should be paying attention to the sermon, but like I'm looking at like the different stained glass windows, and I remember being in a place of just brokenness and just feeling like, man, like I just can't get it together.
Right.
And the Lord was like, man, look at all the stained glass windows. When you see stained glass windows, like, they're in churches, they're in the
Facts.
church.
That's
And
good.
so when
That's
you
good.
look closely at stained glass windows, even though they're beautiful, when you look at it, it's literally broken pieces of glass that are put together to make an image. And he was just like, that's how you are. That's how, people in the church, even though they may be set up on pedestals and look like they're all together, but look closely, they're broken pieces of glass.
Right.
And he puts it together like scripture says, all things work together for the good.
That's right.
And the thing that makes the stained glass beautiful is the light that shines through it. So that's like the Lord, like, once he puts all those broken pieces back together, he shines his light through it. And that's where the beauty comes in. And it just, every time I think about my brokenness, I think about those stained glass, that the Lord isn't intimidated by our brokenness. He isn't surprised by our brokenness, but he uses that for the good to make something beautiful. So, man, that song really hit home for me. And just the whole EP and the whole just like really touched my heart and really made me reflect and made me want to be better,
Oh,
because
man.
it's
Praise
like,
God, bro.
yeah, because it's like, it's important, these messages. So just wrapping it up, like, someone who has never heard the EP, like, what is that one message that you want them to get from listening to this EP?
Grace wins.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, literally, grace wins. And the reason why I say that and I continue to push that is because we are all here by his grace.
Yeah.
Whether you're a believer, non-believer, or whatnot, grace wins every time. And my prayer is that through my experiences and my broken places and what I've gone through, I pray that it encourages you to understand how efficient and sufficient grace is and how he can do it for you as well. And that you're not alone. You're not alone in going through things. You're not alone in this world. You're not alone in your walk. Different places and different parts of the EP, I have these moments where, I'm talking to God like, hey, it's been hard to seek your face. I'm asking for grace. I know I got to pay for every mistake, but Lord, I'm asking for grace. You feel that at some point in time you've gone through that, or you will go through that. And so I just want to let you know that grace wins every single time. He will bring you out every single time. You just got to see it from his perspective. I really push that in Broken. We have to see things through his perspective and his lens. And when we do that, then we begin to see, okay, God is intentional.
Yeah.
He's in front of it. He has his hand on it. So I have to trust him with this. And, you'll come out as gold, man. You got to go through the fire. Once you go through the fire, you come out gold. So yeah, grace wins. That's the message, man.
Yeah.
All day, every day, B.
Yes, Grace Wins. So please tell people where they can listen to Grace Wins, where they can stream it, all of those.
All right. Grace Wins is available on all digital streaming platforms. That's your iTunes, your Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. SoundCloud, you name it. Napster, TikTok, Amazon Music, Prime Music, whatever you can stream, it's on there.
Yes.
You just have to just search P Grant. I don't like saying the little subtraction sign. What's the dash that you?
Just
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
call it a dash.
Yeah. So P dash Grant, you know what I mean? You search that and everything will come up. But yeah, it's available on all digital streaming platforms.
Awesome, awesome. And if we can just really quickly, what's next? Because we have Grace Wins, but I saw on your social media account that you got new music coming. So I'm like, okay, I've been listening to Grace Wins nonstop since it came out. So I'm ready for new music too. So like, what's going on with the new
um,
music, new album?
yeah. Definitely embarking on that. New music, new album, new albums, different ventures. Just allowing God to lead, and so definitely be on the lookout. Stay tuned. Um, a lot of these projects are going to be dedicated to my mom, and we just gonna rock. We just gonna let Him lead. We're gonna stay in this vein of grace, and yeah, man, we gonna deal with some stuff. We're gonna be transparent. We're gonna be vulnerable. We're gonna talk about some stuff. We're gonna get free from some stuff. We're gonna do this because
Awesome.
we in this together because grace wins every time.
Yes, sir. So thank you. Yes, Grace Wins. Thank you for this conversation, man. It's been powerful, and I pray that people are impacted by everything that was shared. And I just want to give a shout out to Drew and Rich North Digital for
Salute,
allowing
salute.
us to use their space. Also, Drew behind the camera. Also, Juan doing amazing things, man. They are an amazing team. Drew is doing amazing things. So thank you. We want to thank him for allowing us to use his space. So yeah, I'm looking forward to things God's gonna do in your
Yes,
life,
sir.
man. And looking forward to what's to come in this new year. So thank you. And until the next time, peace.